Are you planning to breastfeed but worried because you've heard it can be hard? Or are you a brand new mom who's looking for tips to help you get through these early days of breastfeeding? I am going to give you my 7 best tips to get you off to the best start with breastfeeding. And make sure you stay till the end because I'm going to tell you the most important tip then. Hey mama, welcome to my channel, Breastfeeding Confidential. My name is Andrea. I'm a registered nurse and a lactation consultant, an IBCLC, and I've been helping moms and babies breastfeed for over 27 years, and I want to help you too. If you're a breastfeeding mom or planning to breastfeed and you want breastfeeding tips, information, education, and support, then I invite you to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my helpful videos. In this video, I'm going to share my 7 best tips to help you with that very important first week of breastfeeding. Tip number 1, do lots of skin to skin. Now, we all know that you're supposed to do skin to skin when your baby is first born, but you really want to continue doing it in those early days. Doing frequent skin to skin will help keep your baby warm and will also encourage your baby to breastfeed more often, which will help breastfeeding and get established in those early days. It's also good for your hormones. Tip number 2, know how often to expect your baby to eat. And this is something that's going to change quite a bit in that first week. Now, you may have heard that your baby should eat every 2 to 3 hours, but that first 24 hours, there is a lot of variation. Some babies don't eat at all in the first 24 hours, and others will eat every couple of hours. Now, if your baby is not interested in eating, the nurses at the hospital will keep track of all the things that they need to make sure that your baby's doing okay if he's not eating. On the second day, you do expect your baby to eat at least 8 times in a 24-hour period, and that's going to average out to about every 2 to 4 hours. Now, some babies will eat much more frequently in those days before your milk comes in, and that usually happens between 48 to 72 hours after you gave birth. Frequent feeding in those early days is healthy, normal behavior. We like to say that he's just putting in his order and that it's going to help stimulate your milk to come in sooner and stimulate a good milk supply, as well as help your baby lose less weight. So frequent feeding is a good thing. Now, when your milk starts coming in, it can take 12 to 24 hours before it's really flowing. Once that happens, your baby will probably start going longer stretches, every 2 to 3 hours. He may still have periods where he cluster feeds for, say, an hour or 2, but for the most part, it'll be about every 2 to 4 hours. You want your baby to eat at least 8 times in a 24-hour period. You don't want to let him go longer than 1 4-hour stretch every 24-hour period. Tip number 3, learn how to tell your baby is swallowing. Now, baby sucks, but you also want to know that they're swallowing. And you can check 2 different ways. Now, some babies will make a sound when they swallow, and it sounds like a soft k. So, k, k. And then the other way you can tell is by looking. Now, when a baby is swallowing, they'll hold their chin down for a beat in the middle of the suck. So it'll be like, instead of suck, 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 it'll be like suck, suck, suck. So as they hold their chin down, the milk is flowing back and they swallow. Now, when you first start breastfeeding, your baby will probably only swallow every 4 to 6 sucks. But then as your milk increases, your milk comes in and increases, you should expect to hear that swallow every 1 to 2 sucks. Tip number 4, make getting rest a priority for you. Now, babies generally have their days and nights mixed up in the early weeks, and so they are often awake more at night, and that's probably when you're used to sleeping. So you want to make an afternoon nap a top priority for you. It should be non-negotiable. Put it in your daily planner if you have one. Even if you don't think you can sleep, going into a dark room and closing your eyes can help make you feel a little more rested. And a lot of moms have told me that they have found indeed they can nap when they didn't think that they would. Tip number 5, choose a healthcare provider that is breastfeeding friendly. Now, when I say a healthcare provider, I'm talking about a pediatrician, nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, whoever is going to be managing your baby's healthcare. Finding a breastfeeding friendly healthcare provider can relieve a lot of the stress that moms experience in the early days of breastfeeding. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to know all there is to know about breastfeeding, because the reality is a lot of these healthcare providers get very little education about breastfeeding when they go through school. But as long as they know when to refer you to a lactation consultant if you're struggling with breastfeeding, and just know the basics about breastfeeding is what you want, in addition to them being supportive of breastfeeding. I'll include a link in the description below for the checklist that I created that will help you interview prospective healthcare providers, and that will help you find somebody who's breastfeeding friendly. Tip number 6, have somebody lined up ahead of time that you can call with your questions, concerns, and problems about breastfeeding. I recommend having 2 lactation consultants that you've interviewed and that you can call if you have concerns. In my Clueless to Confident Breastfeeding Preparation course, I talk about all the different things that you would want to know about a lactation consultant when deciding who you want to have on your list of trusted names to call. I'll include a link to my information page about that course in the description below as well. Tip number 7, know the signs that breastfeeding is going well. During your baby's second 24 hours, he should be eating at least 8 times every 24 hours. You should hear swallowing when he's feeding. Know how many diapers to expect. Go ahead and check out my video about what to expect from breastfed babies' diapers. And in the early days, it's different, but after your milk comes in, you expect to see at least 6 wet diapers every 24 hours and at least 4 loose yellow runny bowel movements. And sometimes they'll have a seedy appearance. Another sign that breastfeeding is going well is any discomfort that you are having is not severe. I hope these tips get you off to a good start. If you want to know about all the things to prepare for breastfeeding, check out my information page for my Clueless to Confident Breastfeeding Preparation course in the link below. If you like this video and found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care, Mama.